So what happens when you clown a narcissist and the narcissistic collapse, when you mirror them? Well, got to go through a couple things first before we talk about what they do. What's going on, y'all? I am Lodonis Ravenwolf Dragonstorm, your seer and sage. Hail to all my fellow survivors and thrivers from narcissistic abuse. Remember the person you're dealing with. No accountability. You can be with them through the hardest times. You can support them. You can pay their bills. You can give them shelter. You can comfort them in their worst moments. You can give them a car. You can put your credit out on risk. You can literally destroy your life being compassionate and empathetic. I mean, overly compassionate and empathetic towards someone's plights, toward wanting to help or heal or be there for them. And they will never be there for you. They will ghost at the first chance they get. If they know it is their time to take a stand, to hug you, to be there, to empathize, to be with you, to pay back any of the goodness that you have done to them, they're ghosting. They're out. They're not sticking around. That's not about them. It has to be about a narcissist in order for a narcissist to stick around. If you are at all troubling them, if you are expecting a return on your investment, and I mean a relationship, a return on loving someone and being there for them, and being their support structure, that ain't happening. They are going to ghost. You see, I don't care what type of narcissist they are. At their core, they're all cowards. It takes a real coward to escape accountability, to not stand up and take ownership for what you've done. It takes a real coward not to introspect, not to be able to look at the damages or their past, their traumas inside them, and instead of doing that, creating a fragile, false ego of BS, a funhouse mirror of lies around them, a distorted worldview, in order to create an illusion that facilitates that they're the bestest. They're the bestest ever. And they can validate through that funhouse mirror any type of evil, any type of destruction of another life, any lie, cheating, smearing. They can completely and wholeheartedly ignore the things that you did for them and make an excuse for it and run away and ghost. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy. The person who they abused, the person they lied, cheated, the person that they've tortured. You're the bad guy to that narcissist if it comes in contact with that fragile ego. That fragile ego is the makeup of a coward. It is a false self. It is a false face. It is something they present to some people in order to sustain the illusion that they're a good person, thinking that most people don't see through it, because they do. And before I went through narc abuse, I wasn't one of those people. But we all live and learn. That false face is very important to that narcissist. That inner child that they're running from, full of their damages and their traumas, they're cowards. They don't have the strength to face that. They don't go to therapy or talk to a life coach or open up to a friend, take accountability, take the chance to look at themselves. I mean, some of us are stubborn. It takes a little while, bang your head up against the wall before you can really recognize your shadow self. It takes time. Narcissists aren't even trying to do that. They're going to project all their ills like a coward, hurt others to avoid their own pain. And that's what they do. Now, if you call a narcissist out, what do? If you call them out on what they rage out. Oh, that's a narcissistic injury. You can't call them out on what they do. You can't hold them accountable for what they do. They're going to ghost and talk trash. They're going to go gather up haters and talk trash. They're going to talk to anybody and tell them a lie, a distorted version of things that happen in order to facilitate their narrative. Because they're trash. Trash leaves them backdoor pills. A narcissist will absolutely, positively hold it against you if you call them out on their business. If you call them out for abusing somebody else, for targeting and harassing someone else. If you hold them accountable for something they've done to you, oh, that's the worst thing ever. You can't do that. They're not going to take responsibility for what they've done. So what happens when you mirror a narcissist? Well, if you do it correctly, like Dragonstorm Narcissist Slayer can, you circumvent that false ego. They're going to try and present that false ego, that false toughness. They're going to try. But if you mirror them right, you go right around that. You know who they are. You know the truth of who they are. Even if you, no matter how you're mirroring, no matter how well you know them, you know that false ego is a front. And behind that front, is their broken inner child that they're running from. Now, it may sound harsh, but they're an evil person. Evil people do not deserve mercy, and we do not train to be merciful here at Dragonstorm. So you got to punch that broken inner child. You got to step on it. You got to choke it. You got to steal its baba and beat it with its blankie. And that's going to cause a narcissistic collapse. They're going to do one of a couple things. They're going to fight back harder and try even harder to manipulate and just smear you. But in doing so, they will expose who they are. And don't care about who likes to co-sign to their lies, because they're toxic anyway. Your objective is to hurt them. Don't care about the periphery. Periphery doesn't matter. They depend on that for their illusion. If you mirror a narcissist correctly, they will fall into collapse. They will stop talking. If you do it right, they're going to stop talking. They're going to stop talking to everybody and everything. They're going to avoid you like the plague, because they know that you can see them. And that's the last thing they want, is for anybody to know who they really are. Now, some narcissists, depending on who they are, if they're malignant, if they have a touch of psychopathy, some physical dangers could come into play. Remember to set up your cameras, get ready for evidence, get ready to defend yourself, record, put that narc in jail where they belong. Narcissists are, by their very nature, emotionally immature, and you can play with that all day long, as long as you have a strong sense of yourself. Be good to yourself, and be good to each other, and never again suffer that fool.